Morning of June 26, 2026. Thousands of people turned on their PlayStations to find their movie libraries had vanished. Sony issued an email confirming the removal of 551 titles from Studio Canal. High-profile films like Terminator 2 and Total Recall simply disappeared from digital collections because a licensing agreement reached its end. Many users had invested over $500 in these films. Because the transaction was governed by a digital license rather than physical ownership, Sony offered no refunds or compensation. For decades, ownership meant possession. You bought something, you held it, you could pass it down to your children. This mass deletion marks a shift in how tech companies define assets. Across gaming, cinema, and finance, the rules of possession are being rewritten to favor revocable access over permanent ownership. The process begins at the Buy button. In a digital storefront, this click doesn't actually transfer a file to your possession. It secures a temporary license to stream that content from a third-party server. Your access is tied to a back-end contract between the platform and the distributor, a contract the consumer never sees. When those companies fail to renew a deal or change their distribution strategy, the asset is legally removed from your library. The platform's right to delete the content supersedes your perceived right to keep it. Reverting to physical media is becoming increasingly difficult as the market shrinks. Major studios are cutting disc production, and retailers are clearing out their Blu-ray aisles to make room for more profitable inventory. By rebranding a rental model as an ownership model, the digital marketplace has turned consumers into permanent tenants of their own media libraries. This confusion over ownership creates bizarre market behavior. On eBay, sellers are successfully listing digital codes for Grand Theft Auto 6 at $120, $40 above the official retail price. Logically, this shouldn't happen. Digital games have an infinite supply. They cannot sell out. Anyone with an internet connection can buy the game from an official store at any time. Scalpers bypass this logic by using manufactured scarcity. By tagging listings with limited stock or only two left, they trigger an evolutionary fear of missing out, leading buyers to pay a premium for a product that isn't actually scarce. This manipulation of consumer perception is currently shaping the competition between PlayStation and Xbox. Both platforms are fighting for the same pre-orders, but the marketing data shows a massive gap in brand preference. Retail data shows for every one GTA 6 order on Xbox, 6 are ordered for PS5. This 6-to-1 ratio puts Sony in a dominant position. While hardware is similar, Sony's marketing, branding trailers with their logo, captured consumer mindshare, making PS5 the natural home. In an economy of infinite digital goods, profit is no longer driven by the product's rarity, but by how effectively a company can manufacture the feeling of urgency. Decentralized Autonomous Organizations, or DAOs, were supposed to be the alternative to this corporate control. They promised a system where users held genuine, unrevocable voting rights. However, recent moves by Gnosis DAO suggest a return to traditional corporate behavior. Their GIP 151 vote allows token holders to surrender their governance power in exchange for a direct share of the organization's cash treasury. There's a direct financial incentive. The GNO token sells for $132, but represents $170 of treasury value, creating an immediate $38 profit for exiting. Prioritizing these cash exits transforms the DAO from a long-term community into a joint stock company focused on short-term liquidation. This tension between long-term utility and immediate financial gain has led to a public rift between major crypto figures. Ripple's Brad Garlinghouse recently questioned the strategy of Michael Saylor, who has focused his company entirely on accumulating Bitcoin through debt. Saylor's model involves borrowing billions to buy Bitcoin, a strategy that pays off in bull markets, but risks total collapse if prices fall. As these experimental systems mature, many are shedding their original goals of technological revolution in favor of high-stakes financial engineering. Digital ownership has become a series of revocable permissions. Content you've bought sits behind a gate that can be locked whenever a licensing contract expires. This model is beginning to face regulatory scrutiny. Lawmakers in Europe and California are moving to require platforms to clearly distinguish between a permanent purchase and a temporary license, potentially forcing more transparent pricing models. These changes will likely mirror shifts in the gaming market. As cloud services and mobile hardware continue to advance, the necessity of a dedicated home console is decreasing. If current trends continue, the traditional hardware-led console war may eventually give way to a market dominated by service-based mindshare. The crypto market is undergoing a similar filter. As the industry moves past pure speculation, projects without real-world utility are expected to fail, concentrating value into a handful of surviving networks, like Ethereum or Ripple. To survive this shift, you must recognize the trade-off. Physical objects remain the only way to ensure true, permanent possession. In the digital world, you aren't buying an asset, you're paying for a visit that can be ended at any time.